All right, y'all. What's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another one, y'all. All right, y'all. So this is a question I've been meaning to answer over here since the live I did the other day. I wanted to kind of go a little bit more into it about the strawweight division right now. Yeah, I can't believe it's been almost a week now. Well, it has been a week since the Mackenzie Dern Jandaroba title fight. I just been so busy, man. I've been meaning to watch the fight again, which I haven't, and just kind of touch on the strawweight division as of right now, and just some questions about Mackenzie Dern. But this is the big question I know some of y'all been asking. Now that Mackenzie Dern is champion, can Mackenzie Dern keep the belt? Or does the belt play musical chairs? I know that second part is something I asked y'all because that's kind of what I lean towards right now. But when I look at what Mackenzie Dern was able to do this past weekend, I have to say that, I got to give her credit. Whether you think she lost the fight and Verna Jandaroba won, I got to give her credit because she did call for the fight. She played chess correctly. She made the right move. And she knew this was a style that she could go in there and beat, whether it was with the help of the judges, whatever you believe, or just overall her pressure and power and presence was able to, just overcome Verna Jandaroba throughout a 5-round fight. So, yeah, I give her credit on that. I got to give her credit. But now that she's gotten the belt, that question comes up: can Mackenzie Dern keep the belt? And in my opinion, right now, I unfortunately don't think she'll keep the belt like that. Could she defend the belt once? Sure, but I give you the reason why I think she probably won't keep the belt is because I still think that Mackenzie Dern is still growing as a fighter. Number one, I think that the particular style matchup against her and Jen Naroba, I think that just kind of fit her game plan at the time. And I know that's probably a big reason why she was ready to call for the fight because when it was Zhang Wei Li still champion, she admitted right there, like, that's not a fight that she's ready for. But if Zhang Wei Li moves up and the belt becomes vacant, she'll gladly fight Verna Jandaroba since she fought her before, right? So yeah, I think that was just kind of a good style matchup for her, and it was just good chess play in there to say, okay, I think this is the person that's for me, so I can grab this easy win and claim the strap, right? So hey, I can't hate her on that. I mean, she made the right move, but yeah, I just think number one, that's one of the reasons why, because again, watching that, what remembering what I seen because I haven't watched the fight yet, but just watching that fight, from Saturday, I still saw a lot of holes in Mackenzie Dern's game. Like the one thing that just beat her, next to again just saying that style fit her, was just still the leaky defense in Mackenzie Dern. She still has leaky defense and still takes a lot of chances that I think could have been exposed to fighters with power, and we've seen that before. Now, the one thing I do like about Mackenzie Dern in this fight was how she slowed the pace down against Verna. She was a little bit more patient. She did sit down on her shots. She didn't swing too wild at times. She did commit to get her respect. But yeah, she did slow it down at times, but there were still a lot of big shots landing on Verna's side, right? I mean, you can see Verna did touch up her Mackenzie Dern's eye as well on the under the right eye. So I still think those are some of the things, those some of the little hiccups in Mackenzie Dern's, game that could still cost her a fight against fighters like Yan Xiaonan. She was to run it back with her because Yan Xiaonan is a good striker, a good mover, and we've seen how she was able to just kind of nullify a lot of those pressure attacks from Mackenzie Dern when she was storming forward to strike or trying to get a takedown. I think that Yan Zhana has kind of learned from the Verna fight. And we've seen her learn even from the Carla fight to be better at her takedown defense. Why she couldn't execute against Verna? Verna's a better takedown specialist. Verna was able to take Mackenzie Dern down. And I think that's another thing that might kind of hinder this title reign for Mackenzie Dern is being the way she accepts takedowns. Some fighters you go up against, if they take you down, they're going to work some ground and pound on you. Even like Suarez, let's say that's a fight she did call out, right? I'm going to talk about that fight here in a minute, but that's still a fight that if it went to the ground, we never know. Like Suarez on top could start landing some heavy ground and pound and steal rounds from her. So there's just still a lack of a well-rounded game there. And that's the thing, like, some fighters, they have to learn on the job to get better. Even Zhang Wei Li, she had to make certain improvements before she could go on a long title reign, right? And that's what I'm just saying. Like some fighters just have those particular styles where they have to go through some hiccups and they have to go through some ups and downs because, Zhang Wei Li, she came in as a fast paced, power punching boxer, brawler type of style. with some strength on the ground, right? With some good groundwork here and there, But when she went up against girls like Rose, who had more of a calculated striking style, even Joanna at times, she had trouble. Even girls that had good takedowns like Rose in the second fight, they had to make those improvements. So it's hard for me to see like Mackenzie Dern just be able to go in there and adjust to all these different styles. Because now Zhang Wei Li is getting the big picture that you have to be like water. You have to be able to adapt in these fights. And I still don't see Mackenzie Dern with that ability to adapt. That's like the third thing I'll say. She doesn't really adapt in fights. She continues to do what she does over and over. And that's why I said in the show the other day is like Dern is a dog, right? She's gonna keep doing what she's doing until it works and you break under the pressure, or you gotta stop her. You got to stop her like Lemos or Andrade was able to do with their power, or even the girls that have good striking technique like Marina Rodriguez or Yan Xiaonan. So imagine, if Zhang Wei Li loses to Valentina, moves back down, and she gets to fight for her belt again against Dern, right? That's one of those situations. She comes in, try to put that pressure style on somebody like Zhang Wei Li. Zhang Wei Li could knock her out. Zhang Wei Li could land that big right hand and that be it. Or Zhang Wei Li could probably take Mackenzie Dern down, defend those submission attempts, and just shut down the back activity of Mackenzie Dern. She could just start hammering away, because we all know that Zhang Wei Li, when she gets you down, she's going to ground and pound on you. She's not going to just lay and pray and just hold on you and look for control time. That's not her, So just so many different things going on in the division right now. So many similar styles that Mackenzie Dern has already faced before, and we've seen her neutralized by these girls. So that just kind of makes me think that, I don't know. I really don't think Mackenzie Dern can just keep the belt and go in this like long dominant title reign like Zhang Wei Li or Joanna did. Because look, I'm looking at the girls at the top 5, made up of a few girls that beat her already, like Yan Xiaonan and Amanda Lemos. Of course, Zhang Wei Li moved up. But the next name in mind that she did call out that it could possibly be a win for her. Like, I'm not saying like Dern loses the belt in her next title defense or first title defense. Like, she could win one, like many of the other strawweights did, right? Remember, Zhang Wei Li won it, and then she defended it that one time before losing to Rose. And, Rose, she lost it to Carla Esparza. And before that, Rose defended against Joanna in the rematch, and then she loses to Andrade. So there's always been that one title defense curse amongst all the other champions, aside from Joanna and Zhang Wei Li on her second run. So yeah, she could at least get one. Like, I'm not saying like her style is that beatable where she can just go in there and just blow it all together. I mean, when we look at the top 5, all right, there is the number 2, Tatiana Suarez. And look, y'all know, look, big fan of Tatiana, always followed her throughout her career, but just the type of evolution that Dern has made with her striking, it could be a problem for Suarez, who's still trying to get her boxing and stand-up game down. And I just seen Tatiana Suarez on IG just now, working in the ring now. She's been boxing a little bit more. She looks like she has a boxing coach and everything, new boxing coach. So that's a good thing. Maybe they hearing their team, or maybe they're hearing us out here. I don't know, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But if they were to fight right now, I would think that Mackenzie Dern would have more than enough to be able to handle Suarez's style, because we all know Suarez is physically strong. She's one of the bigger strawweights, and she could get Dern down. But Dern is strong. Dern is physically strong, and she knows how to throw that weight around in there. And her shots are damaging. They are very dangerous, even for somebody like, Suarez, who's prone to leg kicks. Like, if you look at that Jessica Andrade fight, the Wei Li fight, the Lemos fight, Mackenzie Dern has some very powerful calf kicks when she lets them go. She's got some heavy legs too. So that's something that could be a problem in that fight. And then you look at the long committed jab and committed power punches and right hands from Dern. Those flurries could just kind of throw Tatiana Suarez's game off. You just never know. And if Suarez tries to shoot, she could stick her neck out, get submitted, or Dern could choose to accept the takedown, get on her back, and just work. Where, Suarez is idle, she's going to get beat up. So that could be a fight. Like, I'll look at that fight a little bit more. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about where I think the division goes right now. Mackenzie Dern is champion. Like, can Mackenzie Dern keep the belt? I think she could defend it at least once, but when I say keep the belt, that means like maybe 2+ title defenses, 2, 3, 4, and beyond that. I don't think she can really do that at this point, just because, like I said, a lot of the girls in this top 5, top 6, top 7, I think they have styles that already have beaten her and that could still beat her. But we never know. Something might wake up in her. Something might wake up in Mackenzie Dern where, now that she's got the belt, she's just going to lock herself up and work harder than ever and just, get to those weaknesses that she's always wanted to, just tackle and kill and then, just get better at, get stronger at. So maybe this brings something out of her that we never seen before. We just never know. If not, it's a big possibility that the belt could play musical chairs. I mean, we've seen it in the past. I've seen it in boxing. We've seen it in the bantamweight division, right? Where we might be in a situation right now where we don't have a dominant champion. And that's fine with me. That's fine with me at this point, because I think that when the level of playing field is just even, when we get an even playing field, we start to have fighters putting on more tooth and nail fights sometimes, where we get exciting title fights. And I think that's something that WMMA needs right now. I mean, we're getting a lot of exciting fights, non-title fights and lower ranked fights, like the past couple weekends, back and forth action. But, with people being so hard on WMMA, I think that if we get some action-packed title fights where, fighters just going toe to toe, like say if we do get like a Dern Lemos rematch or Suarez Dern type of fight, or any of those type of matchups where it's going to be back and forth because neither fighter is really that polished and they just want to go for the belt and put on a good show, those could be some winners for the fans. Those could be some winners. And the belt might go this way, might go that way. Like next title defense, Suarez could get it. Lemos could come back and rematch and get the belt. Or Yan Zhana might get her title shot and stop Suarez, So we might have three or four different champions in the next 2 years right now. So right now, the division does look like it might play musical chairs when you just look at style matchups and just overall work ethic. Like since Zhang Weili left, you don't really have too many fighters that are really dedicated, I feel like, to being able to just adapt to the situation and bring on something new. Verna was the closest one, I think, and we saw what kind of killer instinct and dog she had in there, and it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. So yeah, can Mackenzie Dern keep the belt? Maybe for one title defense. Does the belt play musical chairs? I think that in 2026 we might see that belt jump around at least 2-3 different times. So expect to see Yan Zhana with her hands raised, Suarez with her hands raised at some point, and maybe even Amanda Lemos. We never know. But the next question is, will Zhang Weili return back to 115? And I'll talk about that in another video. Y'all, make sure y'all subscribe. I'm out. Peace.